Hello premium subscriber, you're welcome back to this session. In today's video, you're looking at how to compute for inventory turnover. So hey, if you're new on this channel, please, this is what I'm expecting from you. Please go ahead to smash the like button of this video, share with your friends. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. So by this way, once we release any new video or we go live, you'll be the first person to get notified on your mobile phone or your device. So please make sure to subscribe, please like this video, okay, and share with your friends. By this way, you get access to all our videos and other materials that will be posted on this channel. So without wasting my time, let's get started to our topic for today: computing for inventory turnover. But before we start with the computation, somebody may ask, what is an inventory turnover? What is an inventory turnover? So let me take you to the background. Let's say you wake up early in the morning, and then let's say you're going to work, and then you put, let's say 100 cedis in your pocket, okay. At the end of the day, during the afternoon time, all right, you check and you are left with, let's say, 80 cedis. During the evening, you check and you are left with, let's say, 50 cedis. What is happening here? The inference that we can derive from what is happening in your pocket here is that at any time you check, it seems that the money that you were having, at first you're having 100 cedis in the morning, but then in the afternoon you check it and you were having 80 cedis, and in the evening you were having 50 cedis. What has happened? So meaning that your money has been reduced from in the morning to the afternoon and to the evening. So this is what inventory turnover is. So when it comes to turnover, we are talking about the number of times. So when you check, at first when you check, it was 100 cedis, right? So that was in the morning. You check in the afternoon, it was what, 80 cedis. That was in the afternoon. You check in the evening and it was what, 50 cedis. So at the time, or the time period that you're able to check your money from the morning to the afternoon to the evening, that's what we call what, turnover. So turnover here, we're talking about the number of periods that an activity can take place. Turnover. So when it comes to inventory turnover, okay, we are talking about the number of times we can convert our inventory towards sales. We are talking about the number of times business can convert their inventory to sales. So let's assume that a business during a particular day, they engage in their selling. They engage their selling of their product, let's say 3 times a day. Let's say in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. So you ask yourself, how much inventory was the business able to sell in the morning? How much do you able to sell in the evening? How much do you able to sell in the evening? Sorry, in the afternoon and then in the evening. You ask yourself, what were they having in the morning? What were they having in the afternoon? And what were they having in the evening? Is that okay? So the number of times you're able to go through these periods, right, to convert these inventory to sales. I mean, during this period that we're able to sell these inventory, what we call inventory turnover. So inventory turnover, we are talking about the duration or the period within which we're able to convert our inventory we have in stock within this period into sales. Please get it right. When it comes to inventory turnover, we are talking about the periods upon which the business have a merchandise or inventories in stock, and in which the business is able to turn this inventory from this period into sales, what we call an inventory turnover. So inventory turnover, we are talking about the number of times the business is able to convert its average inventories that it have in stock, depending on the period, towards sales for that period. So let's take note of that. So when it comes to inventory turnover, we actually have 2 ways of computation of inventory turnover. We have what we call the at retail price, or we call it the selling price, and we have what we call at the cost price, or we also call it the cost of goods sold method. So we have 2 methods of computation of inventory. We have the retail price and we have the cost of goods sold method. We can also call it the cost price method, and the retail price can also call it the selling price method. I hope that is clear. So when it comes to this inventory, actually when it comes to the advantages in business science, that help business to know how much they can convert their inventory for within a particular period of time towards sales, and how much they can make within that period. Is that okay? So that's how can we engage in inventory turnover. It helps business people to know the number of sales they can engage on, or they can sell within a particular period of time. I believe that is clear. So that's what we call an inventory turnover. So when it comes to certain businesses, okay, depend on the nature of the business. If the activities that they engage on within the business, when it comes to what inventory is phased, you're gonna have what some certain what rate that you can tell that, okay, let's say for this business, this is the standard of what their turnover rate that they have. For this business, or the standard of turnover they have. Is that okay? So when the activities that they perform within a particular period are phased, then we can determine whether this will be the standard turnover rate for that particular business. Is that okay? So always inventory turnover are actually calculated or computed based on the duration that we are taking into consideration. We can compute inventory turnover, let's say annually, right? That is what once in a year. We can compute this, let's say semi-annual, that's twice in a year, sorry, yeah. And we can talk about what quarterly, that's 4 times in a year, and then it goes on monthly, daily, and even year, what have you. So that is how come inventory turnover comes. You can compute inventory turnover on a different number of what periods. And before you can compute inventory turnover, we are saying that you need, first of all, you need to calculate what we call what your inventory. You first of all calculate your average inventory. Is that okay? When it comes to computation of inventory turnover, the first thing you need to do is to compute for your average inventory. And what is an average inventory? Average inventory is talking about what the number of inventory, okay, that a business that stands for the business for a particular period of time. Let me put it in this way. You're talking about the number of inventory that a business have for a particular period of time. That's what we call an average inventory. So let's say it has inventory in the morning, it has inventory in the afternoon, it has inventory in the evening. You ask yourself what's going to be the average inventory for this period of time that the business is having these inventories. All that you need to do is add the inventory at the morning plus the inventory at the afternoon plus the inventory at the evening, and you divide by how many times? 3 times, and then you get your average inventory. So once you're able to get your average inventory based on the method of your computation of the turnover, you can go by, if you are using the selling price or the retail price, then in computation of inventory turnover is going to be the retail price divided by your average inventory. I believe that is clear. And then also when you are computing for inventory turnover at cost, it's going to be the cost of goods sold, which most of the time you're not going to be given the question, but they expect you to calculate and divide by your average inventory. Please, I believe that is clear. So that is the whole idea when it comes to computation of inventory turnover, the rate at which a business is going to convert its inventory that have in stock to sales, the period, and then the inventory that they have in stock, the rate at which they are able to convert this inventory into sales, what we call inventory turnover. So let's take note of that. Hey, so if you're really enjoying this video, you know what is expected of you, okay? Please go ahead to smash the like button. If you haven't smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to, make sure to subscribe and share with your friends so that you can also join us and then learn with us in that light. Is that okay? So please make sure to like and then share this video for us. It's very important. So please like and share this. Please like and share this video. So that is what we are talking about when it comes to inventory turnover. If there is any question, please let me know in the comment section so that I will know how to respond to that question in that case. So that is something that we need to know. So as you can see here, inventory, we are talking about what is the number of times our average inventory is converted to sales. So average inventory being converted into sales during the year. So as I was saying, taking into account the period that you are taking into consideration. So general inventory turnover is higher for some industries, some businesses like grocery stores or ice cream parlor and those stuff. Is that okay? So this is what I was saying. When it comes to standard turnover rate for corporate business, sometimes they publish it out for investors and people who are interested in the business to know that these are their rates at which they can make sales for a particular period of time. So for some business, as I said, if the activities are phased, they're gonna have a fixed standard rate. But then if the activity keep on changing, you can also have a different standard, or flexible standard rates for turnover as and when their sales activity or their sales or policies keeps changing. I believe that is clear. So that's something about the standard rate for these business. So when it comes to hardware, we have 3.5 for hardware. For stores, hardware stores, for groceries, most of the time you see 12.7 and 3.3 for other businesses that you can talk about. So I said earlier on that before turnover can be calculated, average inventory must be calculated. So what is an average inventory? As I said, average inventory is the average of the inventory taken over a particular period of time. So we are talking about the inventory that a business will have for a particular period of time. Is that okay? So taking over a specific period of time, it can be annually, semi-annually, quarterly, or monthly. So that's something that we need to know when it comes to inventory turnover. Now let's move on to inventory taking and their average inventory. So when it comes to computation of inventory turnover, as I said earlier on, first thing I need to do is first to compute for average inventory. And how do you compute for average inventory? We said for average inventory, you can compute for two methods for the inventory turnover, which is for the retail and then at cost. Whether retail, which is the same thing as selling price, or cost, which is also called the cost of goods sold. I believe that is clear. So when it comes to computation of average inventory and this annually, that's once a year, is always your beginning inventory. Is that okay? Plus your ending inventory, and how many period do you have here? 2. So beginning and then ending, and we have 2. When it comes to semi-annually, meaning that the idea is that we always presume that businesses gonna have beginning inventory from the previous period that they were dealing with. I believe that is clear. So if that is the case, then every business was supposed to have a beginning inventory. Not all business will have beginning inventory, but then the idea is that for purpose of calculating inventory turnover, the business is going to have a beginning inventory. But then if in a question you are not giving beginning inventory, just follow suit with the period that you have and then calculate your inventory turnover. Calculate your average inventory, I hope that is clear. So when it comes to semi-annually, we are talking about every 6 months. So here, if you have beginning inventory, it's going to be 1 and the end of 6 months, right? So 6 months means what? Twice a year. Twice in a year, right? That's every 6 months. We have twice in a year. So meaning that if the business have a beginning inventory, it's going to 1 period, right? And then for the end of 6 months for each year, it's going to be 2. So here is going to be 2. That's each month. So it's going to be the first month from the beginning of the month, as January to June, and from July to December. Is that okay? So that's going to 2. So 2 plus 1. That's going to give us 3. So the number of times here we're going to divide our average inventory going to 3. So it's going to 1 plus 2, and that's going to give us 3 here that we're having here. I believe that is clear. When it comes to quarterly 2, that's in a groups of 4. But the idea is that if the business have a beginning inventory, fine, that's going to be 1. Is that okay? So quarterly, we are talking about 3 quarters. We're talking about 3 months in a year. So it's going to be 4 here. So meaning that you have 3 months from January, February, March, right? And then on and on to December. So meaning that if the business have a beginning inventory, going to be 1. That's here. I'm interested in the number of times we're going to divide our inventories after adding all the inventory at this different period. That's why I'm engaging on that. Please, I hope that is clear. So here, beginning inventory is going to be 1 period plus the 4 quarters we have in a year. This is going to be 4. So 1 plus 4 is going to give us 5. So this is the reason why you're seeing this 5 here. I believe that is clear. When it comes to monthly 2, how many months do you have in a year? You have 12 months in a year, right? So if the business have a beginning inventory, then that's going to be 1. Then you add plus 12, and that's going to give us the 13 that we're having here. I believe that is clear. So meaning that any inventory that you also see among these are also part of the. So when it comes to the semi-annual, as I was saying, was 2. I was talking about the 2 year. We include from January to June, and then from July to December. That's going to be for the ending inventory. So you're going to see it as So the 2 months I was talking about here, I mean the half of the year, and then the ending inventory from the July to December. So that's why you see the ending inventory here, and then they add up to 3. So I mean that is the way you can easily understand. So always the ending inventory form part of the period that we are talking about. If let's say we are talking about annual, then we are talking about beginning then ending. So once in a year. So the idea is if the business have any beginning inventory from the period, the ending inventory going to be for the annual. So once in a year. So you add the ending inventory plus the beginning inventory, and you get 2. That then you divide the beginning inventory plus the end inventory and divide by what? 2. Is that okay? When it comes to semi-annual, as we have already shared, it's going to be the beginning inventory. If you have beginning inventory, and then semi-annual is what? Every 6 months. You have what? Twice every 6 months in a year. So it's going to be from January to what? June, and from July to what? December. That's going to be for the ending inventory. So that's going to give you 3. And it comes to quarterly too. You have what? 4 quarters within a year, and then the final quarter is going to be the ending what? Inventory period, and that's going to be the 4th quarter. Is that okay? So that's why I easily said that if it is quarter, then it's going to be what? 4 quarters plus what? The beginning inventory. In with the 4 quarters, we have the ending inventory period as part of what? The 4 quarters. When it comes to monthly, to the same thing, we have 12 months in a year. So in that light, if you have beginning inventory, that's going to be for 1 period. Is that okay? And then within the 12 months, we're going to have what? The ending inventory period, and that's going to form part of the 12 months, and that's going to give you what? 1. That's it. 1 plus what? 12. That's for the beginning inventory period, and then the 12 months where we are taking inventory monthly, and you only add 1 plus 12, you're going to get to what? 13. So this is the reason why we're getting these what values as the number of times we're gonna divide our inventory by these what? Periods. I believe that. So before you compute for inventory turnover, we expect you that you first of all compute for your average inventory, and this is what we will do as we move along. So inventory, when it comes to computation of average inventory, you can compute at retail or at cost. So depend on the nature of the question. If it's at retail, then you follow all the selling price approach. If it's at cost, then you follow all the cost approach. I believe that is clear. So let's move on. So if you're really enjoying, please make sure to smash the like button on this video and share with your friends. Please like and share. Please like and share this video for me. Thank you very much. Let's continue. So when it comes to computation of inventory turnover, as I've already indicated at the beginning, as a beginning part of this lecture or this introduction, I said that when it comes to computation of inventory turnover, you have 2 approaches. There you're going by the retail, that's the selling price approach, and or at the cost, I always call it, or the cost of what? Goods sold approach. Is that okay? So when you're using at retail, then we are talking about net sales over what? Average inventory. Is that okay? But when you are going for inventory at cost or at cost of goods, so they are going for the cost of goods sold, as you can see here, divided by what? Your average inventory. So let's take note of that. So make sure to follow through so that I can get the explanation right. It's very important. Please, I hope that is clear. So enough of the conversation, enough of the talking. I think we have done a lot with the explanation. So when it comes to computation of what? Inventory at retail, we are saying that first you need to determine the net sales if not given. So if you have to determine the net sales not given at retail, that's where you go back to your method of valuing inventory. That's in the description section of this video, section 1 of inventory control and turnover, right? So it's there. One of the method of valuing inventory is called the retail method of valuing inventory. It's saying that for me to compute my net sales, it is always going to be my merchandise available for sale minus my ending inventory. And remember, all these items should be at retail price. That's how we compute for that. So there's the link is in the description section of this video. Please go through. After this, you can even revise from there in that. If you haven't watched, you can do so in that case. So now, first determine your net sales if not given, right? And then second is compute your average inventory using the retail prices, because you're talking about retail, so using the retail price or the selling prices. And then lastly, compute your inventory turnover at retail by dividing your net sales, very important, by what? Your average inventory at retail. So let's take note of that. Now let's take this question to clarify the whole issue you're talking about here. So let's see how we can deal with this. Example, inventory for the year based on the selling prices are as follows. So we have beginning inventory. So beginning inventory is going to be 1 period, right? We have what? End of 3 months. So here it means that the inventory, you're taking inventory at quarterly what basis. So we have end of 3 months, means that talking about what? Quarterly what? Inventory what? Average inventory taken. Is that okay? So end of 3 months here, we're gonna have 80,000. End of 6 months, we're having what, 10,000, and end of what, 9 months, we're having 70,000. And that of the 12 months, you see the final quarter, that's what we also call the ending inventory as what, 60,000. And then we are told that the net sales for the year was what, 520. So we are asked to compute the inventory turnover at retail. So let's see how we can compute that. So here, all that you need to do is, first of all, you need to compute for your what we call your average inventory. Is that okay? Your average inventory. So let's see how you can compute for the average. We said the average inventory, based on the inventory period that we are taking, you can compute for that. So average inventory for this is going to be so because we are computing it quarterly, it's going to be the beginning inventory. Is that okay? Plus what? How many quarters were you having? You're having what, 4 quarters, but then at the end of the day, the ending inventory is part of the 4 quarters. So it's going to be the range, because we want to always consider the range. So it's going to be 3 quarters at the middle, right, of the year, plus the 4th quarter, which is the ending what, inventory. Is that okay? Or better still, beginning inventory plus what, the 4 quarters of the inventory within this period, for which you know the ending inventory is part of the quarter. So how many periods do you have here? I mean, the number is going to be what, beginning inventory 1, 3 quarters is what, 3, plus the ending, which is what, 1. So it's going to be 1 plus 3 plus 1. It's going to give us what, 5. Is that okay? Please, I hope that is clear. So let's take note of that. So here, you're going to divide by what, your number, which is what, n. I believe that is clear. So now let's compute for sorry, my board is disturbing a bit. Now let's compute for our average. So average inventory is going to be 90,000. But let me bring it down so that we can make use of it. So it's going to be, so we're going to add all these, right? So it's going to be 90,000 plus 80,000 plus 100,000 plus 70,000, and lastly plus what, 1, 2, 3, 4, and lastly plus what, 60,000 is the ending inventory, which form part of all the quarters, and then divided by what, 5. So when you divide this by 5, with my calculation, I had what, I had the average inventory to be what, 80,000 as my average inventory. So I was able to compute my average inventory as what, 80,000. What was the net sales in the question? Was what, 520 what, Ghana cedi. So let me bring it here. So I can say that inventory turnover, as I represent as ITO, is going to be the net sales divided by your average inventory. Okay, so your net sales divided by your average inventory. So we know that the net sales in the question was 52,000. That's 520,000 Ghana cedis. Sorry, 520,000 Ghana cedis. So you pick that one from there. So here is going to be 520,000, and then divided by your average inventory, which was what, 80,000 Ghana cedis. So when I did my calculation, I had the inventory turnover to be 6.50 times. So this means that the number of times you can convert our average into sales is what, 6.5. So that is the explanation behind the number of times you can convert our average inventory to 80,000 to sales, which is what, 520,000 is what, 6.5 times. So let's take note of. So this is where we are talking about retail method. But when we are talking about at the cost price or the cost of goods sold method, you take the cost of goods sold and divide by the average inventory, and then you are good to go. Is that okay? So at that realm, we are talking about the prices, the cost prices for that. So as I've already indicated at the beginning, most of the time you won't be given the cost price or the net cost price of the inventory. Is that okay? In terms of the cost, you will be given, so we expect you to compute for that. So if you are not given, when it comes to the computation of the cost of goods sold or the cost price, if you are not given, it's always your beginning inventory plus your purchases. And if there is any ending inventory, you take the ending inventory from the total for the beginning inventory plus purchases, and you arrive at what we call your cost of goods or sold. Is that okay? So when you use that figure, you divide by your average inventory, and you're able to get your inventory turnover at cost. I believe that is clear. So let's take note of that. So we have a question here. Let's see how we can deal with this question. Example 1. We have example 1 here. Let's see how we can deal with it. Assume that the beginning inventory cost is what, 50,000, and purchases cost was what, 320,000, and ending inventory cost what, 70,000. Compute the inventory turnover at cost. So to compute inventory turnover at cost, we are saying that first thing that you need to, whether it's at retail or at cost, first thing that you need to know is to compute for your average inventory. I believe that is clear. So average inventory is going to be, so here the inventory period that we are computing for the average inventory is being taken what, I think this for once in a year. That's what, annually, right? So once in a year. So it's going to be the beginning inventory. I mean, based on the nature of the cost, you should be able to know the period, whether it's annually, semi-annually, quarterly, or monthly, or daily. You should be able to know. So here, based on the beginning inventory and the ending inventory, we are talking about computation of what, inventory turnover annually. So going to be beginning inventory plus what, ending inventory. And this period is what, how many periods you have here? 2. So it's going to divide by what, your n. And let's do the row calculation. So your average inventory here is going to be, your beginning inventory was 50,000. Is that okay? Plus your ending inventory was 70,000. And then divided by how many numbers do you have here? 2 numbers. So it's going to 2. So what is going to be for our average inventory is going to be what, 60,000. So once you're able to get that, we are not done. We are also asked to compute for what, the inventory turnover at cost, but we don't know the cost of goods sold, so we need to calculate for that one. So the cost of goods sold is going to be calculated as, so call that cost of goods sold going to be calculated as your beginning inventory plus purchases minus ending inventory. I believe that is clear. So let's see how we compute for that. So our beginning inventory in this case was what, 50,000. Is that okay? Plus our purchases for the period was what, 320,000, and our ending inventory was what, 70,000. So in my case, I arrive at the cost of goods sold to be what, 300,000. I hope that is clear, right? So once you're able to get these values down, therefore we can conclude that, let me bring it here. Therefore we can conclude that our inventory turnover at cost is going to be the cost of goods sold at cost divided by your average inventory. Is that okay? So in that realm, I can say that I know my cost of goods sold was what, 300. So 300,000, right? And then divided by my average inventory of what, 60,000. So you ask yourself, how many times can you convert this inventory to sales? So it's going to be what, 5 times. It's going to be what, 5 times. So 300,000 divided by 60,000 is going to what, 5 times. So let's take note of that. So this is why we bring an end to our presentation. If the video was really helpful to you, please go ahead to smash the like button of this video, subscribe to the channel, and by this way, once we release a new video or go live, you'll be the first person to get it right away. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you very much. So I will see you in the next video where we discuss other matters in relation to business mathematics. So I will see you. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.